So in this video, I will talk about how you can release bottled up emotions. And if you do this, you can overcome your limits, you can live a life beyond your limits. And if you don't do this, then usually these emotions will at some point bottle up and explode, or you will end up self-sabotaging yourself or fall back into negative patterns. Okay, I will talk about the 5 steps, after which you will know how to release these bottled up emotions. Okay? And one thing first that I want to tell you is you need to understand, okay, why do you have these emotions at all? Otherwise, maybe you feel confused, right? Where do they come from? Usually these emotions come from your childhood, and there you learned like to suppress these emotions, basically, right? And that means they will just bottle up at some point, and you either start to explode, or even if you don't, what happens is that you start to self-sabotage yourself more, or bother people more, or fall into negative patterns, right? Behave in a very negative way for yourself and for others. So this is usually how it looks like. So basically it's just a programming from your childhood, and if you just learn to release that, then you can be free of that. Okay? So let's start with the first step. The first step is already the reason why you're here, and this is just awareness, that you practice observe this awareness. And if you're already here, it's good. That means you have probably already some awareness that there's something. Otherwise, you wouldn't click on this kind of video, right? So you have already some awareness that there is something, and you want to release that because you think it's not good for you. And this leads to the second step. The best thing is if you seek first a safe space where you can then release these emotions. So you need first to look for a safe space. It's way more difficult to try to release it in an environment where you don't feel safe, or you can focus where there are a lot of people. Because, for example, it can be that you want to shout or want to cry, and if there are like people around you, it will be way more difficult for you and uncomfortable and unsafe to release that. Okay. So seek a safe space where you can be bothered, right? Where you feel safe and good. And the third step is basically, this is now the most important step after the first two. We have already the awareness. And this is where you just basically feel this bottled up emotion, right? You feel how it feels. So now you're in a safe space. Probably you got maybe triggered, and now you feel it. Maybe you have headache, something like that, headache. And now you just allow this emotion to be in your body. You observe that. You don't observe it by thinking about it. You don't try to think about it. I know, especially for men, for example, they tend to think about these things and analyze that. But in this step, you don't do this. Okay, you first just experience this emotion by observing it. So you tap into your body, you experience where this emotion is located, right? If it helps you, you can also imagine what kind of color this emotion has and how it moves in your body. But only do this if it really moves. Don't try to imagine something that's not there. You just observe. So you just basically experience this emotion until it is released by itself. All you have to do is to experience that and observe all kinds of reactions that appear with this emotion. And if your mind thinks about it a lot or doubts, then let it doubt. Just observe how the mind thinks as well. Okay? This is the most important step, where you allow yourself to really sit it, and it takes time. It takes time as long as it takes. Okay, so if it happens instantly, then it happens instantly. And if it takes multiple times to do that, or longer periods of time, then it takes longer time. But the more patience you have, and the less expectations you have, the better it is. The more you can emerge into that, And yeah. So at the end, observe all of that as well, even your expectations and the doubts of the mind. Okay? And now, after you have now sit with it and you have released that, even if you have still not released it, you can do step 4. So you can still do step 4, it will help you as well. So now what you do, so you have now just sit with it. Maybe you have just experienced to some degree, maybe some tension is still there, maybe not. But what helps you to really clarify even more about that or release even the rest of it is to journal about it, and you just write down what happened. So the situation itself, someone told you something and you were triggered, right? Maybe someone tried to help you, you got triggered, right? So something happened, you got triggered. You write down just the situation, what happened. And then your thoughts about it. What did you thought in your mind, right? Just write a couple of sentences that you thought about it. Can be also more as well, right? Maybe your mind started to doubt. Maybe you were angry, right? So, and the next, basically the next thing that you do is you just write also down, okay, how did it make you feel? Like, how do you feel? Right? What kind of emotions appear? And a good and bad is not emotion. Really try to feel, okay, how do you feel? Is it anger, frustration, anything? Okay. And after that, you just write down your expectation. So because you were triggered, you expected something to happen, right? You felt this bottle up emotion. And now you expected something to happen. Maybe you expected people should treat you different. Maybe you expected you were working on your business. You're doing personal development as a man, for example. And now the things didn't work out as you wanted to, right? Right? Or people didn't react to you like you wanted to. I know this feeling very good myself back then. And the great thing is you can now write down this expectation. So all of these patterns become clear. Now you can write it out. By expressing that, you release even more energy about that. So you express it not just for fun, but also to release even more energy about it and write it down to gain clarity. Now you know exactly what happens, right? You feel like you're now in control because you have write it down. You have nothing to be afraid of because now you understand it, and it helps you to allow it to feel even more of it. And the 5th step now, I recommend you only to do it after you have processed the emotions first fully. So first really do the step 3 and 4, okay? After you have now write down your expectations, what you expected, what should happen, you now give it a positive interpretation. So what is basically the lesson out of that? If you have not done step 3 and 4, you probably will just think, hey, Alexei, are you fucking kidding me? What is positive about it? So that's why it's necessary to first do step 3 and 4, right? If you still feel pretty much triggered, it will be difficult for you to find a positive interpretation. You can still try it out. Sometimes the positive interpretation is just that you have got aware of it. This is already the positive interpretation itself. So your awareness has risen because of the pain itself. So the pain leads to greater awareness. So that pain tries to help you to be recognized. And if you have even released it, now you can also give the positive interpretation about the end result, right? For example, you got triggered and now you have released it, and that means now you can recognize this person actually wanted to help you. So everyone is actually on your side. People just try to help you, right? Or maybe you're working on your business, you are making personal development, things were not working like you wanted. Now you notice, wait, this is actually great because now I notice, okay, the lesson was my self-esteem comes from within, not because I do things, right? So this is the lesson. You give it like a positive interpretation about the situation, right? You make like a positive lesson out of it. And because of that, the pattern won't appear because you now has released this emotion. Now you gave it a positive interpretation. So because of this positive meaning, something positive will now happen, right? Because first you release this emotion, now you give it a positive meaning, now you make it even positive. And as a result of that, you have now positive emotion. This will lead to a positive outcome in your life. Comment below, what was the lesson or what did you understand through this video? Okay, by doing this, it helps you also to integrate it even more in yourself by rewriting and expressing this lesson. And see you next time.